Hello, and welcome to the Coach Right podcast, where we explore how to turn coaching expertise into published pages. I'm your host, Helen O'Neill, portfolio career specialist, accredited future of work coach, author and creator of Coach Right 90, the writing programme specifically designed for coaches. You can get the episode show notes and your free guide to publishing options at coachright.co.uk. It's time for the next chapter. Welcome to episode 12 of the Coach Right podcast. Helen here, recording on Saturday the 3rd of January 2026. Happy New Year. My guest today is Kenny Archer, and we'll be talking all about his book, The Story Behind the Coach. We'll be talking about authenticity in life and in coaching, how to self-publish through Amazon, and how writing can be a tool to heal. First, in personal updates, I've begun editing the Resilience book, and it's fair to say there is rather a lot to do. Structural editing is my least favourite part of the process. So whereas I absolutely love the freedom of free writing the first draft, and I get a lot of satisfaction from the deep detail involved in copy editing, this bit where you're moving things around and doing rewrites and cutting big sections that make absolutely no sense whatsoever has a definite soggy middle feel to it. Still, if I want to get it published this year, it's work that needs to be done, and I will keep chipping away at it until I have something cohesive. My other significant focus for the past week has been setting everything up for 2026. I took a couple of days out between Christmas and New Year to focus entirely on strategy and planning. I've completed my business plan for the year and mapped out all of the core deliverables, including client commitments that have already been put in the diary and all the key value content that I intend to produce, including, of course, the Resilience book. But I'm also determined to squeeze in a fiction title this year too. I'm always incredibly mindful that there are a number of business coaches and strategists in the market who advocate spending loads of time on strategy, which, as we know, can result in lots of beautifully completed editable PDFs and not a lot of clients. And then there's the other camp that advocate for messy action and proclaim that they can operate their business with just-in-time mentality and delivering everything on the fly. And honestly, you can run your business however you like. If you want to spend all of your time doing strategy, fill your boots. If you want to run on a hamster wheel, constantly churning out content and not really knowing when you're done, that's fine too. It's just not me. I've found over the years that if you want to do all the things, you need a plan. So 2 days of dedicated focus and no interruptions has got me to a place where the year feels achievable and just enough of a stretch to be interesting. I'll be sharing more details about some of those deliverables over the coming months, but needless to say, this podcast will continue to be at the heart of the Coach Right ecosystem. The guest diary is scheduled up until May, and we've got some wonderful coach-author conversations to look forward to. Part of my business plan was to consider continuous professional development for the year to come, and I've made sure to put budget aside in the business to support this. Just before Christmas, I had a discovery call with a coach supervisor who I'll be starting to work with at the end of January. She has a very different approach to my natural coaching style, which is exactly what I was looking for to stretch my capability and to help me grow as a practitioner. I'll also be working with a business mentor this year to help make sure that the business continues to grow in a way that is sustainable and enjoyable. My other key focus for 2026 is stripping out unnecessary tasks. Can you see why I've engaged a business mentor? For those of you that run private practice, you'll know firsthand how easy it is to very quickly become the single point of failure in your business. Being every department might be cost efficient when you start out, but not so time efficient. And while I enjoy some areas more than others, I am very conscious that this year, in order to scale and to continue to serve clients to my best ability, I'm going to need to automate and to outsource. As I've said many times before, there will always be aspects of my practice that will be 100% me. The coaching space itself and the popular free newsletter that I send out every week are two areas that spring to mind. I'll leave links for both of those things in the show notes. A lot of the podcasts that I listen to have been providing roundups and predictions for the year to come. So I thought it would be interesting to share a couple of themes that I've noticed over the past week or so. The first is in relation to publishing, and more specifically, reading trends. While individually, we often have a preference for the kind of books we like to read, the market ebbs and flows. No one had ever heard of romantasy a decade ago, and people sought out cosy fiction during the pandemic. So it should come as no surprise that non-fiction reading evolves too. According to a report in The Guardian, non-fiction sales are on the decline. The fact that this correlates with a huge influx of titles available in the space cannot be a coincidence. Alex Newton from K-Lytics stated that the number of junk self-help titles being published jumped by a factor of 25 since the launch of ChatGPT. So at time of recording, that is in the last 4 years. Now, this quagmire of crap is turning readers off. So does that mean the end of non-fiction as we know it? Well, no, and we need to adapt. I could pretty much guarantee that those of you listening to this podcast read or listen to non-fiction. Half of the titles I read last year were non-fiction. So what this market change means is that quality is key and discoverability. For coaches, that means aligning your book with your business, your brand, the transformation that you take your clients on. It's about thought leadership and commentary. Personal development will never go out of fashion, and well-curated long-form content is the foundation for AI search. So please do watch out for charlatans promising you can turn your blog into a book with the click of a button. This kind of content is sinking to the bottom, and it's far more important than ever before than to connect on a human level with your ideal reader. And yet the stats don't lie. Only 1% of personal development books are purchased in ebook format. Yet the number of coaches I speak with who still equate a PDF with a book and think that people will pay for it astounds me, when instead we should be focusing our attention on hardback editions, audio, and translations. Dispelling myths like these was one of the reasons that I started Coach Right in the first place. In the coaching space, the conversation that dominates every end-of-year roundup is ethics. There's conversation around what it really means in a world where AI can listen and prompt during a coaching conversation, where a bot can transcribe your conversation for prosperity, and how we create environments of psychological safety while at the same time adhering to the legal and data obligations that we have. It's an increasingly complex topic and one we are duty-bound to be educated about. My expectation is that we will see low-cost automated coaching for the masses and premium human-centric services for the top tier. Interestingly, as more people choose to invest in their own coaching rather than wait for their organisation to provide it for them, we're also seeing a growth in internal coaching networks, primarily driven by leaders who advocate for the business case. It will be interesting to see how the balance of organisational versus individual return on investment pans out. A quick note to any of the coaches out there who have been considering writing their book in 2026. Coach Right 90 launches on the 14th of January. So if you are listening to this in real time, there is still time to join us. I will leave the link for that in the show notes. And as we head into 2026, I'm sure I'm not alone in having a list as long as your arm of goals and aspirations for the year, including those all-important book titles. Balancing the thinking and the doing. Personally, I plan to achieve a lot this year, yet I also intend to enjoy each moment. To take time out in the middle of the day, to sit in a comfortable chair with the sun on my face and a book in my hand, and maybe let my eyes close for just a moment. Whatever you have planned for the year, leverage the starting energy and let me know how you get on. Right, that's enough from me. Let's get into the interview with Kenny. It's time for the next chapter. Welcome to the Coach Right podcast. My guest today is Kenny Archer. Kenny is a business coach, author, and the founder of Archer Inspirations. Known for his raw honesty and deep emotional intelligence, Kenny empowers entrepreneurs and leaders to build purpose-driven businesses grounded in truth, not hustle. His mission is clear: to help people lead with alignment, build legacies that matter, and turn their scars into strength. His book, The Story Behind the Coach, is a courageous account of resilience, reinvention, and rediscovering purpose after burnout. Welcome to the show, Kenny.
Thank you very much, Helen. It's great to be here.
Thank you. And so let's start by, if you can tell us a bit more about yourself and your path to publication.
Thanks, Helen. So, yeah, as you said, I'm a coach, and people often say I'm more than just a business coach because I coach people. I don't coach businesses. And I started coaching, it's almost 8 years ago, and it kind of happened by mistake. I got out of the corporate world at a very young age, at 46, and we joked about it saying I was going to retirement. I sold out and I got out. I just had enough. I had burnt out too many times. I was done. There was just too many things changing. And after 3 months, my wife said to me, it's time to do something. You can't sit around at home anymore because I will kill you. And yeah, I've quoted her. It's in the book like that too. And yeah, I went to meet up with a couple of employment agents that I'd worked with over the years, and all of them told me, forget it, Kenny, your age, your experience, nobody will take you on, etc., etc. And then the one said to me, go chat to my husband. Anyway, chatted to him. He was a coach. I went across to Vegas, went and did my certifications, bought it, got into it. But something never felt right. And after 2 years and 8 months with them, I realized the values were out. I didn't align. There was no alignment. And I left them and I went back on my own again. And I started discovering who I was by listening to what other business owners needed. And I started putting together different ways of coaching, different tools to use with clients. And I don't like using the word programs, so offerings, what I offered. And really it came down to, well, how much time do you need with me? And so my different programs and services developed with time. But as I was going along with coaching, I started having other coaches to help me. And one of my coaches, Mel, she really helped me go deep down and realize there was a lot of stuff sitting below, which was causing my disbelief in myself, causing trust issues with myself, that whole imposter syndrome. And we started going and channeling down and started to unpack a lot of the deep, dark stuff that we hide away and we push it down, etc. And I got to a point with her when I thought, okay, I was done and we'll go along. And then one day somebody said to me, yeah, Kenny, why don't you just start writing a book? Because I always shared bits and pieces, and even if it's just for yourself. So I did. I started writing. And I got into it, and I started digging further and further down. And when I started writing, it was, well, where do I start? So I thought, well, let's go back as far as I can remember. And that's where I started.
Okay.
And I started unpacking all the different challenges I'd had in life, with my mom and my dad and the way I grew up and the background, etc. I don't want to give you too much because that's what's all in the book. But what it was is every challenge I had in life, every roadblock that I faced, every scar I earned got me to where I was when I was writing the book. And I suddenly started realizing that, plane crashes, losing teams, near-death opportunities, all got me to the point where I was while I was writing the book. And they all contributed to me becoming a coach and the type of coach that I had become. Because one of the challenges we have as coaches is you can go get certified. Okay? Great stuff. I'm a coach. Now what? You take years to discover who you are. It took me years to discover who I was and to discover the true coach that I was. Because we have a calling, we know and we identify, we relate to coaching very quickly. And we know it's the right thing for us, but we don't know how. You can go and read all the books. You can go and download all the promises coaches make that I can make you a six-figure coach, etc., etc. But that's all copy and paste. That is not you becoming the coach you meant to be. And I like to help coaches get there. And in that discovery, I discovered something new about myself. And I suddenly started realizing that coaching's not competition. Coaching is, the more coaches we have, the better the world will become. My vision is everybody deserves a coach. And it doesn't matter whether you're a business owner, an individual, a school child, a mother, a father, a grandparent. We all need some form of coaching. And coaching is really just about having somebody to check in on you, hold you accountable, and just keep you on track on where you know you want to go. Because it's hard doing it on your own. And, I've worked with a few coaches. I've currently got two. And when I started writing the book, it's a book about those who are struggling and just need to know it's actually okay. It's okay to fail because failure is part of success. So going back to the book, it's all those failures that I had that led me to where I am today, which makes me a better coach because I've experienced it, because I've got through those life challenging scenarios that have happened, the mentors that I've had through my corporate career, the lessons I learned from them. Well, what must I do with them? Let's share them. Let's give it to other people. And the book's given me an opportunity to share why I coach, share who I was, who am I behind all of this. So yeah, writing the book helped me deal with me. I was in a conversation with my coach yesterday, actually, and we were talking about, I know I'm probably going a little bit off subject here, Helen, but it's relevant to where I come from and why
I've got so many things to pick up on what you're saying, Kenny, so don't you worry about that.
So we were talking about somebody that we both knew who I had approached at my early days of coaching to do marketing for me. And this person said to me, Kenny, if you want to become successful, you need to fix your teeth.
Okay.
And I was like, no. Part of my skew tooth is a broken jaw that I got from playing soccer, football, when I was about 15. It's part of me. It's who I am. Okay? When I grew up, I didn't have the advantages of being able to go to an orthodontist and have braces put in and all of those things. We didn't have that kind of money and that type of stuff. So it's part of who I am. Why must I hide it? Why must I pretend it's me? If you don't like it, don't look at it. I didn't even want to go further with the guy because that's not how you build a relationship. That's not how you get to where you want to go. And that story is actually going to go into my second book that I have started already, by the way.
Yeah.
And it's all to do with alignment and clarity. So it's a continuation of the first book. So that's going to be awesome. I have started it. The outlay is all done. And now I'm just adding the stories and the learnings and stuff. That type of stuff I'm adding to it. So yeah, I'm excited to get that one done as well. But that'll probably only be out at the end of the year or beginning of next year.
Let's go into that in a bit more detail. So you're obviously a lifelong learner, and all of these experiences that you've had throughout your life and your career have kind of fed into that first book. What did you learn during that process of that first one that you're taking with you into the process for writing the second one?
That understanding who you are and who you are is okay. It doesn't matter what other people think. Be yourself, because that's who we are. Be authentic, be yourself. And I know the word authentic is overused at the moment, but it is something that, be yourself. Just be yourself. Your clients will pick up who you are and want to work with you because of who you are, not because of who you pretending to be. And in the beginning, when I started coaching, it was that. You try to be like all the other successful coaches, and it doesn't work. Because why? Your clients feel like you're hiding something from them. They feel that there's no authenticity or honesty happening, so they think you're lying to them, so it doesn't last. But when you can be yourself with your clients, man, it works. It works. You just feel good yourself when you coach, and that's the growth. So what I take away from that first book into the second one is that alignment and clarity, and kind of that's where I've gone to it. And I keep going back and going, how does this relate to alignment? Is this what my clarity is? Is this what I really feel from it? And I've broken it down into 4 different phases within the book, breaking it down that way, because that's how you keep yourself. Otherwise, I've got ADHD. I can go all over the place and go down any kind of rabbit hole. So I've got to keep myself in my little boxes when I'm doing the writing. Otherwise, I can go crazy down the wrong place.
And people are always really interested in how you get from somebody saying you should write a book one day to you thinking that's a good idea to actually having a framework in place that works for you in order to get those words down. So how did you go about doing that?
So I originally started doing it just for myself. There was no ever intention to publish it or do anything with it. And I kind of said, okay, well, what were the stages of my life? What happened there? And I started unpacking it that way. Then I started going, okay, what were some of the experiences during that stage of my life that happened that have stood out for me? What were the scars from those sections? And then I started going, okay, well, what did those scars teach me? What did I learn from that? And there's a lot around my mom, things that had a long-lasting effect on me all the way through life. It's a guilt that you carry. It's completely in your subconscious. How's that hiding that away helping you? And by putting it in the book and writing about it and telling the world about it actually made me realize, so those scars, how does that help you become who you are, and what do you learn from those scars? Well, I'm 55 now. I've kind of done okay. Yes, I had a pacemaker put in a week before my 54th birthday. Well, maybe my heart, it wasn't designed to last forever. But guess what? There's some technology that's keeping me going. I'm still here, okay? I'm here for a bigger reason. And that's one of the big things in that book is, how does this help me to where I am and why I do what I do today? And I want people to have a better life. I want people to excel at what they do. So that coming out of the book was clarity for me.
I mean, it sounds like the process itself has been cathartic and a way to heal from challenging things that have happened to you. What would you say to other people that are listening to this and thinking, I've had challenges in my life and maybe some sort of writing would help me too? What would you say to them?
So when you do write these things down, you actually look at it from a different perspective. Our minds are very dangerous places. They store all sorts of information. And I often say to people, our brains only know what we feed it. So when you've got somewhere deep down in your subconscious on a loop going, you're not good enough, you're never going to believe you're good enough because you keep feeding yourself this. But when you go and you actually write down that she said I wasn't good enough, well, maybe I actually am good enough, because that's the biggest load of nonsense Nobody can actually say that to you. But when you let that go, wow. And by writing it and then reading it back to yourself out loud, you kind of go like, man, what a load of horse.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you make peace with that and you let it go. Um, and yeah, I made so much peace with myself. When I was with my life coach yesterday, and we actually haven't seen each other for 2 months. And in between this, the book was launched and I saw her. And she said to me yesterday, you even look so much more control. You look so much happier. She actually said to me, you look younger. It's because there's that, it's all part of that relief. And when you get somebody comes back to you and says, Kenny, I've just finished reading your book. And one lady said she read it on the plane. She said people were looking at her funny because she was laughing and crying at the same time. And that's what the book did for her. And another person said to me, I think that I've had such a hard life, but when I look at what you've had to go through and your positive attitude to life, it's given me a new lease of life. And that's like kind of like, if that's the only two comments I ever get,
Yeah.
it was worth the time and the hours to write the book.
Yeah. And I think it is an incredibly brave thing to do, to take painful experiences, to process them through writing, and then to share that with other people. So what made you make that decision to take it from something that you'd written for yourself as part of that healing process and then to go that one step further and to put it out into the world?
So during the process, when I started writing, a lady called Shelley, she's South African living in Ireland. I was chatting to her and I said, I've started. And she said, well, I'm a copywriter. Let me go through the stuff for you. I said, thank you. Give me some pointers, etc., because I've never done this before. And at one stage, I said to her, how do I end what I'm writing? And she said to me, it will never end because you'll keep writing. But right now, you're at a point where you can stop and call it a day and call it a book.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, but I can't call it a book. She says, of course, you've got a winner here. You've got a book that means so much and it will change the life of so many people. Publish it.
Brilliant advice.
So, yeah, I then went and figured out how to publish it. Published it myself using Amazon.
And how did you go about doing that? Because that's all, again, it's always behind a bit of a curtain, isn't it? People go, oh, big scary Amazon. How did you get your book up there?
Well, first of all, I started finding out what it costs to go to a publisher and get it published, etc., etc. And I thought, I didn't write this book to make money. I've written this book to get the message out, so I'm not going to go and throw money at it because it didn't make sense. So I started Googling and started finding out different options of doing it. And then, how do I put it on Amazon? Okay, let me go and ask Amazon. I went into Amazon, type in or publish book, and it started giving you all the instructions of what you need to do, how to format it, how to do an image, how to do your cover. If you don't have a cover, there's a program with inside that you can upload pictures and it will generate a cover for you if you want. It does the barcode, your ISBN number for you. It does all of that for you. All you got to do is upload it in the format that they want it, and away you go. So then that was all done on the ebook. So the ebook was done first, and then I did the paperback version, and then I messed it up. Okay. When my book arrived, which then like all dawned on me there and then that it was real, that this had really happened. And then when I opened it up, I wasn't happy with the formatting, and I've gone back in and I've edited it, and format is right now, so sorted. Now, if that had been at a big publisher, I wouldn't have been able to do that.
Yeah, I did that on my last book. I got a proof copy and the writing was teeny tiny. And so I was like, no, it needs to be bigger so people can actually read it.
Yeah.
And it is much easier if you're able to do that yourself, for sure. So tell us about the next one.
So the next one is all about clarity and alignment. And it's taking the journey and almost going, so from the first book, this is what I understood. This is what I learned from it. And this is where I've got to. So who am I now? And how am I using what I learned for clarity and alignment, and as a lesson for people that are going forward, that everything you've done in your life brings you to a point. So why not use it? You just keep learning. It's a cycle. Learn, act, repeat. That's the cycle of life.
It sounds like you have gathered a whole wealth of experience writing the book to complement the experience that you've had through life and your career. What advice would you give to other coaches who are considering writing their first book?
Just do it. Do it from your heart. Spill it out. There's enough tools around to help you write the book. You can use AI, you can use all the different stuff. There's plenty to help you. Get your story out so it sits in your own soul when you write it. That's what it's about. Just write it. It doesn't have to make sense. You can sort that out afterwards. You can cut and paste and move stuff around. Just get it out, get what you want to say out, and then clean it up, make sense of it, put it into a formatting. All the tools in the world are there. There's lots of people that will help you.
Yeah, brilliant advice.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time, Kenny. Can you tell listeners where they can find you, your services, and your books online?
So go to archerinspirations.com. Everything's there. If you want to get my books, they're on Amazon, on paperback and Kindle. There's a couple of series books there as well now that I've done. And then, yes, hopefully the second one of this will be there as well.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. That's been incredibly insightful, and I'm sure your stories will inspire others. Thank you.
Thank you, Helen. Thank you, everybody.
I hope you enjoyed today's interview with Kenny. I'll be back on the 21st of January with Wendy Keir, and we'll be talking all about her book, Being More Than Death, a Survivor Story, and its accompanying I'll see you for the next chapter. Thank you for joining me today. You can get the show notes and your free guide to publishing options at coachwright.co.uk. Remember to subscribe and leave a review on your podcatcher of choice. Your words can make a difference. A review can too. If you'd like to connect, find me on LinkedIn, O'Neill Helen, that's O'Neill, Oneill, or on Instagram at Helen O'Neill Coaching. I'll see you for the next chapter of Coach Right.